So quite some time ago I made a video using Krita to animate, and I sort of explained a little bit of how I did that, but a lot of you reacted to the video and were asking me on the comments of that video to give a more in-depth tutorial about how to do this. So I'm going to get into it on this video. If you're interested in that, if you want to learn about animation, or you're just curious about what this is about, feel free to stick around till the end for that. Also, shout out to Sim Keikomi that mentioned me on one of her videos. I think she took inspiration, or she was looking for information about how to animate using Krita, and my video popped up and she referenced me on her video. So if you're interested in checking her video out, I'm going to leave the link somewhere here so you can check that out. Anyway, let's get to it. You just have to first off load up Krita. It's a free software, completely free for you. You can download it from their website. You can also help their foundation by doing a contribution. You contribute to the development, it helps them. You can see here it tells you support Krita, and if I go there, it should send you to a website that shows you donations. Krita is a free and open source application. Krita is mostly developed by an international team of enthusiastic volunteers. We welcome donations from Krita users to support all the work that we're doing. They're fantastic. I really like Krita. I appreciate them quite a bit. So shout out to them. Hopefully you get some donations from it. Alright, so this is how Krita looks when you open it. Once I create a file, there might be some stuff that I modified over time, but in general, this is how this looks. I can get here and say new image, and this pops up this window right here that you can see. It has a bunch of presets. It tells you create new document from clipboard, animation templates, comic templates, design templates, DSLR, and so on and so forth. For the sake of this video, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit animation templates. You have this Japanese, English, and animation Japanese. Alright, so I'm gonna use this template for this example. Just go ahead and hit that, use this template, and this right from the get-go, this is what appears. I'm going to open a new one so you can see how a custom document looks like. I can create one. Let's go create. Because I already got into that option, it appears with the timeline here. I can change between options here. So if you cannot see the timeline, this animation timeline right here on the lower side of the software, you can go here on the top corner where it says choose workspace, and you can find all the options. These are a few ones that I set up, but it comes with a bunch of default ones. You can go there to animation and this will appear. I'm going to, because I want to test out for myself the animation template, I'm gonna go ahead and create one of those. Yeah, alright. So this is based on the traditional way of animating, that you have a page and you draw the next drawing on top of the previous one, and you're usually using a table that has light under it, a light table. I don't know if that's the name in English, but if you Google it, you're gonna find it. This is what this slots here refer to, and this is usually where you're supposed to draw within, because these lines are your of course you decide to mess with me. That's odd that you wouldn't. Let's close that off. So what I was saying is that this page is representing what you would use traditionally. So if you want to change size on your pen, you can do it by hitting shift and dragging, and it allows you to change the size of your pen using Krita. That's a good thing to note. So you have, this is an overlay that they set up. I guess you can lock, like you don't want to mess with that. Gonna go ahead and lock it So here at least I'm not covering any of the UI. Alright, from the start, this specific version allows you to have already a bunch of layers that I'm guessing is to have different levels of animation, or if you have multiple elements that you want to animate, you can do them in different layers. You usually, when you're doing animation, you have an animation timeline, and each of these little squares or rectangles that you can see here are frames. You can set that up depending on what you want to do. This is by default set to 100% speed, and you can change that to whatever you need. This is a 10. This allows you to zoom in and out. As you can see, animation setting menu. If you hit here, you have, this is a clip start. You can change that to whatever number you want the starting frame be, but from start by default is set to 0 and it ends at 100 frames, and the frame rate is set to 24 frames per second, which is usually what you would use, but you can change that to whatever you want. You can set that to 30 to 60, but you really most likely just need 24 frames. Most of the time you don't need anything else more than that. Okay, so I don't know where I stopped talking about this because my tablet started to act up on me, but going back to this, these slots are meant to represent what you would do with traditional animation, that was setting it up on top of a glass light table. You have like a circle, you can look it up, I might add an image here, but you have a circle where you set the paper, and you have the slots where you put the paper that you're working on, and you go through them one by one. The good thing about doing this digitally is that you can save a lot of time by doing this, way more than just watching me talk about this randomly. Anyway, so if you hit space, you can activate the hand so you can move around your frame. These lines here represent your camera, so whatever is going on, this is for you to have an idea of what the final framing would be, and you can set it up depending on what you want to achieve to different sizes. But right now most media is made to be kind of on that frame, so it's a good starting point. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and look for a color that I like. If this is the first time you use Krita, here you can find the drop down menu where you can find all the brushes that you can use, or there's also, let me see if I can, there you go. So if you right click, this menu appears and it allows you to select quickly which tool you are gonna use. So you have a few, you can set this up however you need. If you go here, you can turn your frame kind of similar to what you would do in real life by turning your page, and you can zoom in and out. It's a really handy tool, allows you to change color and so on and so forth. I think these are the default colors you can choose from, and you can switch between them. So I'm gonna grab this pencil right here and try to do a quick animation for you all. Hopefully I haven't lost my touch right from the get-go. I forgot that you cannot do the same thing as in Photoshop. But let's say I'm gonna do a bouncing ball. So that's my line. Okay, just red. Alright, it wasn't letting me choose. Let's see. Okay, so on this one I'm going to do the trajectory. So okay, that'll be the trajectory. There's some other things that you can focus on, like squash and stretch and timing, a bunch of other stuff. Alright, but this is fairly basic, so just for you to have an idea. Probably you can see right the entire thing. So I'm gonna go to green. I'm actually gonna go to red and just lower that opacity, and go to black, which is not really black, but I'm gonna go to green. Back to the color I want. It's that one. Okay. yeah. This frame right here, I can exaggerate that. You have to remember to turn off the eraser. It's E, the hotkey, and you can activate and deactivate. It's a little bit annoying, but you have this, and probably the next one would be like a squash. You can saturate that a little bit more. This one, I can actually erase it. So if I play that, a little bounce, bow, bow, bow. Actually, this one, I could have saved myself some time by doing this in another way. Just doing kind of the actual shape. So you have the contact, squash, and the next one could be the stretch. Jump ahead 3, 3. We can make that smaller. And it went out of frame. So then I can change, as I said, the timeline to just end on maybe 48 frames, 2 seconds. Okay. So let's just turn this off, or let's just turn off the. No, it's not doing anything. What is going on? Terrible. Quite terrible. It's anticipating, and it shouldn't. This frame, unless right from the get-go is like that, it shouldn't be. So this frame is wrong. So if somebody threw the ball, you can have that deformation, but if it's not the case, then you wouldn't have that. I'm rusty, you guys. I haven't done traditional animation in a while. I used to be quite good at it. And you can play with the timing. Like this could be a hold. So I could probably move this. So you would have, let's see if, no, I put the hold on the wrong spot. But so I would say the hold should be like too long. Remove frames and pull. Come on, man. Just, you know what I'm trying to do. So it did add a little bit of a hold there. It can be just a frame. It doesn't have to be. So I have 3 frames. Remove frame and pull. And if you want to make it more dramatic, remove frame and pull. Remove frame and pull. So you can play with the in-betweens, and if you want, you can fill out all the frames here, because these blue ones would be my keyframes. The space between them is their in-betweens. I wonder if I can bucket this. No, it doesn't take it. Doesn't understand it. This frame. The next one is here, so the in-between would be here. This is terrible pen. This one I like better. So pow. Then it jumps to that one, so I can in between that. I don't know if you want to see how the in-betweens change, so I might change colors for for the sake of the wait ta 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 ta. So the in between these two would be between these two lines, and you just start filling those gaps. If you want to really exaggerate, so you have a squash and a stretch. It's too immediate. I think it's too immediate. This frame should be like there, I think, and you raise this. So you can get really critical of what you're doing. Depending on how cartoony you want to make it, you can exaggerate the squash and stretch as much as you like. Having said this, in real life there's a lot of squash and stretch. Maybe I messed that up. Yeah, I did. This one shouldn't go back. What did I do there? So there you have that. This here, that should go there. Bow, 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 bow. This is a little bit of a hold, as I said. A little bit better, right? So this in between would be here. The next one, you have the next one, that one, squash, stretch, in between, a little bit of a thing there, in between. This is just as a reference what I had there as a floor. I can turn it off, or I can lower it so it fits exactly. It's just a reference of where the floor is. And if I turned it off, so yeah, maybe the purist might argue that not the best squash and stretch example, but all things to consider, just for the sake of this example, I'm just gonna add that there, this one here, this one here, this one here, and it goes out of frame. So 45 frames, fully animated. If you want, you can get really fancy with it. Just notice something, that it's a no-go for this. You should never, ever not save your work. Just gonna go ahead and save that. 2025 sample anim. Just hit, there you go. Now it's safe. I wouldn't recommend you do this, but this, if something should tell you that this is a great software, is the fact that I animated this entire thing, and or at the very least this basic animation the entire way through. It didn't crash, it didn't die on me, it didn't do anything weird, it didn't delete the file. This is a really stable software, so I would recommend you use it if you're interested in learning about this sort of thing. So now that I have that, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this off. Maybe I'll get fancy and start adding more stuff to it. Let's see. Do I want to though? I'm just gonna add another under. And just gonna go ahead and fill this up. That's what I'm going to do. So you have to turn it on. The only thing that it was a bit of a challenge, and I'm gonna go back and add this to let you all know. You have to activate the auto frame mode in order for Krita to start recording your frames. So you have blank or duplicate. So you have add blank frame, add duplicate frame, and this one, remove keyframes without moving anything around. Okay, so you can play around with this. I'm just gonna hit that one and it activates. You see that it changed modes. I can Let's see if I can go back. Can I? It doesn't let me. Anyway, it changed modes. So now if I go ahead and just paint this, it should be, let's see, yeah. So whenever you're watching one of your favorite animations, this is not exactly how they do it, but the first stage, which is doing the baseline animation, this is quite probably how they do that. At least the more fluent ones. There are quite a bit that are not done this way because they use a different kind of animation. There's more vector based animation, way more efficient in certain aspects, but it doesn't look as good as the traditional version because you have way more freedom of movement. Like I can make this blob look however I want it, change it into different colors and so on and so forth. And you can probably, if I planned this out a little bit different, I could have just used a vector and play around with it, but I want to do it that way. And that's the great thing about animation. It allows you to do your own thing a lot of the time, whatever that may be. And just feeling whatever nonsense. Those frames are not even stop moving at 43, 45. So I'm just gonna remove that. Remove keyframes. That's it. Alright, so this is my last frame. I'm going to set that to clip end 45. That should be it. Start to finish. Now if I hit play, bow, 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 bow. It's really rudimentary what I did, but I just wanted to give you guys a clear example. If I want to get even more fancy, I could do a shadow, I guess. Can you do that for all of them? That's nice. That's nice. That's really nice. Can I do that? Just activate that? Okay. Maybe in this case I will use this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, could have saved more time with this, but it is what it is. I am the way I am. I like doing things my own way, and I know it have brought me hardship, but rather beat my own drum than beat somebody else's drum. So let's turn this on, because that way I know where the floor should be. Does it come with a fill? Is it possible to get a fill? That'll be nice. Can I? It's probably not. The answer would be probably not. You know what? Just gonna go ahead for the easiest. Duplicate it, but just for the sake of, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, just gonna turn this off, the red one, just turn off the black one, and this shadow one I'm just gonna lower the opacity so it's really, I could even probably diffuse it. Can I? Blur, yeah, just blur. Yeah, now it's all, it should be all blur. Is it all blur? Kind of bounces back, but anyway, just gonna save that. Stop this right here. Probably, there you go. If I select all of that, filter, blur, just this pops up, and you can change. It was on a different screen, so I can change that. You can see strength on it. Hit OK, and it should change for all the frames. It doesn't. I was dumb enough to think it would, but it didn't. I guess I would have to add a filter to all of them. Filter. Maybe I can apply filter. Filter. Can I? Control F. So you can Control F, and so on and so forth until at some point I'm done. There must be an easier way to do this one. Let me know in the comments. Just grill me on the comments if there's an easier way to do this, but for the sake of this example, this is the way I'm doing it right now. Alright, way more subtle, right? Quite nice. And now that I have my animation, I also have my reference. I noticed that I was, oh my god, of course, why wouldn't it be any different? Oh, okay, so it was just a partial problem. Sometimes this happens with this sort of thing, that it kind of messes with you and the way it's buffering what you did. It's just a glitch that sometimes happens. Let's see if I can export this. Export advanced render animation. So file, render animation, and you have from first frame would be 0, of course, as you saw, and my last frame would be 45. Export as image sequence, that is if you want the actual separate images, or you can export it as a video. If you export it as an image sequence, you can set it up to PNG image sequence. You can probably change that into different formats. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't need it, but base frames, you can play around with the naming convention, and they end up being numbered starting at the first frame and going from there. So if I decide to export it as video, 1756 by 1240 at 24 frames per second. You can change the filtering here, render as different formats. I don't know what format this is. You can probably render it as such, but I'm gonna go ahead and export it as MPG for sample for animation YouTube MP4, and just hit OK, and that should do it. Go ahead and save. Let me look for that. I like what I did. So if you haven't, consider subscribing, hitting that bell, and all that good stuff. It's completely free for you, and it helps me a bunch trying to get monetized. If you have any questions about what I did for this video, please let me know down in the comments, or if you wanna criticize my technique, by all means go ahead. The comments are for you guys. So I guess I'll leave you with the videos that get suggested to you. I have my illustrated deck of cards that you can find on my website. I also have a Redbubble shop where you can find merch with my illustrations on them. And I guess that's it for now. Until next time, bye.